This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Monday, April 26th, 2010, and this is episode 712 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hochberg of StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Another successful live show last night.
Yeah, we answered a lot of questions, had some interesting topics to talk about, and successfully blocked Steve Medina's calls. So all around success.
A good night was had by all.
Indeed.
Except Medina, because he was not happy.
And I wasn't fined by the FCC yet again.
You're on a roll, Len. You're on a roll.
4 months running.
Also joining us on today's show is Len Snake Plissken Testa. Welcome to the show, Len.
Call me Snake.
That's right. Always evading the law.
Exactly.
Fighting the
I'm like the bandit.
That's right. And also joining us on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
The lions are protecting the sleeping zebra.
Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise.
Muppets.
Well, on today's show, actually, we're going to be turning things over to Len, as Len has just gotten back fresh from all of your desks and all of your angry notes. It's the reader surveys for the unofficial guide. And Len, let's start off. What are the reader surveys?
Every year we ask unofficial guide readers to fill out a survey after they get back from Walt Disney World, detailing every aspect of their trip experience, from the planning tools that they used and that we provided prior to them leaving, to the transportation, hotel, restaurants, and attractions they visited while they were in Walt Disney World. If you've ever seen this survey, it's at touringplans.com, or it's in the back of the unofficial guide. The survey goes on for pages and pages and pages. If you enjoy filling out tax forms or the census, this is right up your alley. It's an incredibly detailed survey, actually. And the last couple of years, we introduced a novel way of looking at reader satisfaction with resorts, and that's the thing I want to talk about tonight, because there are a couple of interesting ways to look at reader satisfaction besides simply asking basic questions like, were you happy with your resort?
Okay.
So the first thing that we looked at, the genesis of this survey, these new survey questions, started in 2007 when we realized that our reader rankings for some value resorts were higher than the reader rankings for some deluxe resorts. So, for example, readers for some reason ranked the All-Star Movies Resort higher than the Contemporary Resort, even when we told them not to think about, even when we said, don't consider the money you spent, just think about the amenities and the room itself. And actually, you see this quite a bit at, not to pick on any one website, but TripAdvisor actually has a number of value and moderate resorts ranked higher than some of Disney's deluxe and DVC resorts, and that's because it's based on reader input. Now, here's the thing, right? If you sit back and think about it for a second, and if you ignore the amount of money that you spent on the room, if they were the same price, no one, or very few people, right, would stay at one of the All-Star resorts instead of the Contemporary resort.
Right.
That's just crazy, right? So the problem that we were trying to address was how we adjust those rankings, or how we try and figure out why it is people are making those particular assessments, and how do we adjust for them? Because it's really not true that the All-Star Music Resort is a better experience, again, ignoring the money, than the Contemporary Resort, or that moderate resorts should be on average higher ranked than the deluxe resorts. So we had to come up with ways to adjust for that. So we started asking a new set of questions. We designed a completely new survey for 2008, and we've been running it ever since then. The latest results are in now, and essentially we did three key things. One is, instead of just asking a set of questions around your experience at the hotel, we also asked questions about the hotels you typically stay at outside of Walt Disney World. So, for example, if you typically stay at, not that there's anything wrong with this, by the way, but like Motel 6 and Travelodge and other budget hotels, we want to know how those folks rank moderate and deluxe resorts versus people who typically stay at Hiltons and Sheratons and Marriotts and Four Seasons and Ritz-Carltons. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
We also asked two new sets of questions. One is very simple, a sort of a quick summary. Would you recommend this hotel to a friend? The other one was, would you stay at this hotel again? And the funny thing for me, is always seeing, comparing the results of those two things. So, would you recommend this hotel to a friend, and would you stay here again? For whatever reason, every year there's always this set of hotels where people say, "No, I really wouldn't recommend this to a friend, but I'm more than happy to stay here by myself." Right? It's like I'm ashamed to have anyone see me here, but dude, I just love saving the money.
Or they're just a glutton for punishment.
I don't know what it is. It's got to be a really low rate.
Guilty pleasures.
So, and then of course we asked the standard set of questions about each hotel. So things like room quality, check-in efficiency, how quiet the room is, the standard sort of stuff. That's our very detailed ranking. So we evaluate 7 criteria, and we provide an overall rating. Then we also ask these sort of simple yes/no questions for people. So are you interested in hearing the results?
Yeah, let's dive into this.
Woo. So the interesting thing about this year's result was that we had 3 new resorts, right? We had Bay Lake Tower, we had Animal Kingdom Lodge, Kidani Village, and we had Saratoga Springs, Trios Village. Now, Saratoga Springs, we actually didn't get enough responses to break them out individually, but I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So how do you think Animal Kingdom Lodge, Kidani Village did?
I'm going to go with worse than you may have thought. So poorly, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Newell, what do you think?
I'm going to agree. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Agree. Worse than average. Scopa?
I was going to say a little bit better than average because I've stayed in both, and I think that anyone who had stayed in Kidani will, depending upon where they stay too, I think they're going to stay a little bit above average.
So this is interesting. Kidani is actually the highest ranked resort in the entire survey.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, so of the 3 sets of questions that we asked, would you recommend this hotel to a friend? Would you stay here again? And then overall, by far, it was the number 1. In fact, it's the only hotel in Walt Disney World to get an overall A ranking.
That's really surprising. I guess what surprised me, not the resort. The resort's great. It's the transportation issues, I think, would hamper for a lot of people. They say, well, it's really nice, but
transportation and food court were actually the lowest rated things. They both got B minuses.
Yeah. But not enough to.
They don't have a food court. Kidani Village doesn't really have a food court.
Well, so it sort of shares. It shares the right. So with food court is sort of an all-encompassing thing for
what does it share? What is
actually, it? Well, technically, you could walk to
Morrow
Jumbo House.
Right.
Yeah, the Morrow. Yeah.
You could.
You could do lots of Giselle Giselle can start returning my phone calls too, right?
It's just interesting because that we obviously know those 2 issues with it, but even with those handicaps, it was still able to completely outperform all the other resorts. That's
actually got an A in everything else. It got an A in room quality, an A+ in check-in efficiency, an A+ in room quietness, an A for the pool, and an A- for the hotel staff.
Oh, kudos to Kidani Village for picking up the slack there.
That pool is really something else.
Yeah, it is actually. So 100% of the people who stayed there said that they would stay there again, and 100% would recommend it to a friend. That was sort of the big winner. The other one that did really well in terms of moderate resorts, which moderate resort do you think did well?
Yeah.
I'm going to go, I hate to say it, but I'm afraid it's Coronado.
I was going to say the same thing.
I'm going to say Riverside. I'll be different.
Okay, so it was actually Fort Wilderness Cabins.
Oh, the forgotten moderate.
The forgotten moderate. So it actually did very well. 94% of the people who stayed there would recommend it to a friend. That's actually up 7% from last year. 100% of the people who stayed there would stay there again, and that's actually the same ranking as last year. And then an overall B ranking. The interesting thing that brought down Fort Worth, the Cabins, the lowest grade that they got was on the food court, and I sort of kind of see this. because it's camping, or it's cabins, right? And it can be a hike to the food court.
There's a food court at Fort Wilderness?
Well, you know what I mean, the food court in general, the food offerings, right?
Right,
So we're talking
right.
about Trails End and places
Hoop-de-doo.
like that.
Right.
Pockets,
Is it a D minus? I guess because there's limited quick service there. I mean, you really can have to go into
There
the
is
store.
no. Yeah, there's only the store. The
the
stuff in
store.
the
Yeah.
refrigerator.
So I could kind of sort of see that, but that's easily remedied, right? I mean, you just bring out a chuck wagon every morning, bring it around to the cabins, and you're set there. Other than that, it was an overall B. I really
Yeah, Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels, exactly. The other thing I think that really helped Fort Wilderness in terms of being a moderate in these results is, it's 500 square feet. It's pretty big.
Oh yeah.
Actually, it was across all the surveys, it did better than a number of the deluxe resorts. Which resort do you think was the highest value ranked resort?
Well, I'm going to say music.
I'm going with chalk. I'm going to go with Pop Century.
I was gonna say Pop.
So music actually did a little bit better than everyone. It ranked near the top. It was the highest ranked value resort for. Would you recommend this to a friend at 80%? That's up 15%. The average for all Walt Disney World hotels, by the way, was 74% this year. Ranked 100% actually, and would you stay at this hotel again? So this is that interesting thing, right? So 100% of the people who stayed there would stay there again at music. But roughly speaking, only 80% of them, only 4 out of 5, would recommend it to a friend. So that other one is like, no, I'm just ashamed.
Well, one thing I think about that really makes it stand out, music, is they received those rehabbed rooms a couple years ago now.
Yeah,
And
so that's, yeah.
I suspect that's got to speak a lot to why it did so well.
The thing that the All-Star Resorts did not do well in, they averaged anywhere from C to B in terms of overall ratings. The thing that they all did not do well in was food court, and so D+, and B. B was for All-Star movies. I'm assuming that's because of the smaller number of rooms. I'm guessing. I don't know, smaller. I don't know. Maybe it's a more intimate feel. It doesn't have a smaller number of rooms.
Well, you just see what they do at Pop Century's food court, and you compare it, and you can definitely tell a difference there.
Yeah.
I think overcrowding at the All Stars is more of a problem than it is at Pop Century.
It may be actually the things that So the Pop did actually do slightly better in food court than music or sports. Movies for some reason got a B on that, but in general, all of the value resorts were C+ rankings on average. The couple of interesting things before we get to the bottom ranking hotels. This was the first year that, if you look at the overall scores for all of the properties, that the average for all Walt Disney World hotels on the survey was lower than the average for offsite hotels. So for recommend to a friend, for example, the average Walt Disney World hotel score was 74%, which was up actually a little bit from last year, 71%. So it was up 3%. However, offsite hotels made a pretty large gain themselves, and they're at 79%, so 5 points higher. The interesting thing about this is that vacation homes and condos also did very well again for the second year in a row on that.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, if we were including price, I would say, well, that's pretty. I mean, the value you're getting out of those off-site places typically runs pretty high. What can you attribute it to, Len? Since you're not supposed to be counting price in scoring these.
So no matter what we ask, we think that everyone includes for the money I paid in the survey questions that we ask. And even if you tell them not to, they implicitly do it. And that's the only way that we think we can explain the difference in ratings between value resorts, for example, and deluxe resorts.
Len, you think they're talking about the value for their dollar?
Yeah, I think so. So I think when you look at, especially with the economy the way it's been, with the recession and everything, and the state of unemployment, I think right now the fact that Disney resorts are rated lower than offsite properties on questions like, would you recommend this to a friend and would you stay here again? That reflects people understanding or recognizing the premium that Disney charges for these hotels
Exactly.
and asking themselves, should I really pay $170 a night for a moderate resort in Walt Disney World when I can pay $100 a night or $80 a night a mile down the road, 2 miles down the road?
It's just like,
Right.
it's just like you go to a city. Like if I go to New York City and I want to go stay in, Midtown Manhattan, I'm going to pay a premium
Yeah, $250 a
compared
night.
to if I stayed in Newark, New Jersey.
Or at the YMCA in Piscataway, right?
My favorite place.
Exactly. I love the Y. They have the salad right there and for the lunch buffet. Fabulous. Yeah, but that's exactly it. So people are looking at it, especially when you start talking about some of the not the DVC resorts, because studios at DVC resorts are sometimes moderately priced, but during peak season at the Contemporary, at the Polynesian, at the Grand Floridian, you're talking about $500 or $600 a night for a hotel room. In contrast, given the right deal, you can get a wonderful 450 square foot room at the Waldorf Astoria. I mean, dude, the Waldorf Astoria, right, which is a 10-minute drive off of the lovingly named Chelonia Parkway. I think Chelonia should have been, by the way, one of the members of Prince and the Revolution. Chelonia. Wouldn't that
It should have been a dessert at Beaches and Cream.
I'll have the Chelonia with a side of pine nuts. Anyway, but the
Chelonia
Waldorf
special.
the Waldorf Astoria. I mean, $220, $230 a night for a 450 square foot room, dude. When I was at the Waldorf Astoria, evaluating it in December, we actually had a debate as to whether we would rather sleep with 3 other adults in Pop Century, right, in a room at Pop Century, or by yourself in the bathroom of the Waldorf Astoria. And I'm telling you, I would probably sleep in the bathroom. It was that nice and that big. And that's the kind of thing that I think people are looking at. People are looking at the premium that Disney's charging for these things. And they're saying, for the money, on the whole, I'd rather be in Philadelphia. On the whole, I'd rather be, off-site. And I think the tricky thing for Disney is this trend has actually been happening for the past couple of years. Last year, so when we first started doing this survey, Disney enjoyed a huge advantage in these surveys. When we first started asking the questions, Disney had advantages of like 22 and 13 points for each of those surveys. Now there's a gap. So in the space of 3 years, those 22 and 13 point advantages completely disappeared, and it's all because of the economy. So the question that Disney has to ask themselves is, how do you stop this trend and how do you reverse it?
Well, for Disney, go ahead, sir.
I mean, they're already thinking about extra magic hours. It's not like they can add attractions because attractions are for everyone. They really have to make the resorts themselves a better value. And with cost so high up in people's minds, it's going to be tough to compete on amenities, right? I mean, they added Magical Express, which did a lot, right? They've got the dining plan, which adds a little bit too, but at some point, people are still going to look at it and say, okay, I got the free transportation. Maybe they throw in quick service dining. I'm still paying $170, $200 a night for a hotel room.
It's a great point you bring up, Len. It's just Disney is so unique in that I don't know if it's a combination of brand loyalty and some of those amenities you offer, like extra magic hours. I mean, you really can't underestimate those two aspects of it, because despite we're in the middle, or have been in the middle, whatever we are, in the middle of the biggest economic downturn since the Great Depression. Mm-hmm. And when you look at Disney's numbers over the last 2 years, I mean, yeah, they took a hit, but it's like they took a hit like people take a hit in like Six Flags took a hit in like 2001, when there was a little bit of a dip there after the terrorist attacks, and then they bump right back up over there, and they're really not hurting. It's not like they have, complete hotels empty or anything like that. It's just like 10% or something like that. Mm. You know what I mean? And it's surprising. I agree with you. That
also makes you wonder if the economy, dipping is as bad as they say it's bad.
That's also true. I think I would agree with that statement there, Mike.
I mean, if it was that bad, the last couple of trips we went, man, was the parks crowded, the hotels.
I think
crowded.
I think to your point, Mike, I think people will go to Walt Disney World because obviously they love it, and they say, you know what, I want to stay at the Polynesian Resort. Yeah, it costs a lot of money, but it's now more than ever we need like a real vacation. You know what I mean? And it's worth it almost for a lot of people to get that escape. And there's that thing there's that theory kind of that even if you get that Waldorf Astoria room, it's not as good as being on property.
I don't know. I mean, you could be on property in 15 minutes. That's the thing.
I agree with you, but
So the thing that so I understand sort of the emotional appeal of staying in a Walt Disney Resort, and believe me, I love staying in a Disney resort. For repeat visitors though, especially those who have realized that they can't take advantage of like morning extra magic hour, and perhaps those who are willing to say, maybe I won't stay at a Disney resort, but I'll buy the park hopping option and stay in the parks longer. Those are the kinds of trade-offs that I think people are more willing to consider in trying to reduce the overall cost of their vacation.
I think it also goes back to the audience that we're talking about. You're talking about the repeat visitors, and I would agree that most repeat visitors would kind of see that, even though I think most repeat visitors still stay on property. But I think the bulk of Disney's business has to be either first timers or people that come once every, ungodly amount of time a year. Once every 3 years, once every 5 years, once in a lifetime kind of trips. I think that's really
in World it's different. I think World is much more occasional visit.
Yeah, these are people that just call 407, W Disney, and hello, I'd like to come to Walt Disney World. Just like if you're going to, I'm trying to think of an example that of an equivalent destination, where there's only one place to go. Because you just call Disney, I need my tickets, I need my hotel.
Washington D.C.
Yeah, but I mean, at least there'd be hotel differences there. I mean, here it's just there's just that one call, and people don't even either they don't think to or don't know to check other options.
Yeah, that's true.
And
I think that's it. And Disney definitely takes advantage of that.
Oh yeah.
So so a couple of quick things, places to avoid. What do you guys think the lowest rated overall deluxe resort was?
Saratoga Springs.
Actually, it improved because of the Treehouse Villas. So it went up in every category because of the Treehouse Villas, which are lovely, by the way. We talked about it earlier. I stayed there and I really liked it quite a bit.
Oh, we're including the DVC resorts as well?
Yeah, we include everything in the.
What do you think, Noel?
I'll give you a hint. There's two of them.
There's two hotels or two.
Two hotels that did poorly. Two deluxe hotels that did poorly.
I'm going to think the Contemporary.
I am going to add the Yadra Beach Club.
Scope.
Again, Saratoga Springs, and I'm going to say Old Key West.
So, Matt, why did you say Yacht Club?
Because I know that they always offer those resorts to the travel agents all the time. That's the big joke. They can always get travel agents rates, and if they're giving it to travel agents, that means no one wants to stay there.
That's exactly right. That's exactly why you could find it's. So Yacht Club is historically one of the deluxe resorts with the lowest occupancy, and it's also the one that you can typically get the best discounts on. It's not a coincidence that it's also the lowest rated resort. This is actually a couple of years in a row that this has happened. I don't know why.
I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have picked that if I didn't know that one little thing. But
it's far below average when it comes to would you stay at this hotel again? It's below average when it comes to would you recommend this hotel to a friend? And it's one of the lowest rated resorts in the 7-question survey. In fact, it gets an F for its on-site dining, which is really amazing. I mean, we've talked about Yachtsman Steakhouse and how it's deteriorate. I don't know if deteriorate is quite the right word, but it's definitely not as premium perhaps as it might have been, in combination too with the fact that the prices have really gone up on that.
Yeah. And Captain's Grill is a ghost town. No matter when you go, any day, anytime, there's no one there.
Again, I don't think food is its strength. The pool actually does get rated pretty high.
I would hope so.
Interesting thing about Yacht Club Beach Club, we talked about this on the Twin Resort episode about 2 months ago right now. The Yacht Club actually is ranked lower than the Beach Club in almost across the board. So I don't know if it's an institutional thing or it's a decor thing. The Yacht Club is not loved the way that the Beach Club is loved.
That's right.
So that's the other. So by the way, the other deluxe resort that does not do well, the Dolphin, for some reason, also just gets panned for its food court. That might be a little bit unfair because I don't think the food is F quality at the Dolphin.
Yeah, it's just I don't really find what's that restaurant, Mike, that we went to I think it was at the Dolphin, that character meal that there was no one there, literally not a single soul.
The Dolphin?
It was at the Swan or the Dolphin?
It's the Garden Grove.
Garden Grove.
Yeah, that's just got a great character to guest ratio
because there's no one there.
But the Dolphin has Fresh, which is very good. They have the Fountain, which is very good. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I don't. But again, couple years ago.
Very good. Well, thank you, Len, for the report. Very interesting as usual, and I'll take it that I won. So yay me.
Yay.
And that's it for us today. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the WDW Today website at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.